Hello, hello, hello. Test, test, test. Can everyone hear me all right? All 17 people? Let's see. Okay, video's good. Looks like audio's good. All right. So first, some housekeeping stuff while we're waiting for the stragglers to trickle in. I mentioned, I guess it's been 2 weeks since my last stream. This was pre-Thanksgiving if you're an American, and I decided to take the last week's stream off as, you know, just doing family stuff. And yeah, now we're back in the swing of things. And today's stream is especially important because it's the weekly close / open. It is the monthly fresh. It's the fresh monthly candle, and of course, you know, daily candle. So we have two macro milestones: the weekly close and open, and the fresh monthly candle. And it is also the last monthly candle of the calendar year. So lots of major milestones for 2019 are being are taking place at the moment. And going into this current market structure, I do have some concerns with the way things are playing out. But before we get into that, I mentioned that in my last stream that I'm going to be doing some market reports, and you know, just like anything else in the crypto space, people are kind of, or just I think just anything in general, really, people are kind of reluctant to do anything that requires any sort of monetary commitment. So the response was not what I was expecting, so I just didn't do it. A few people signed up, but you know, they do take a good amount of time to write. Upwards of sometimes 8 to 10 hours to write, you know, writing, editing, you know, all that stuff. It's a one-man operation, so, you know, if it's only a handful of people that are interested in doing it, it's kind of hard to be motivated to spend 8 to 10 hours of my time doing that. So, you know, the beauty of the Patreon is that you're only going to pay for what I produce. So, you know, if just because you sign up and I don't produce anything, you know, you're not paying for anything. It's just, you know, whenever I do start doing it, you'll be in the queue. Just waiting for a few more people to show some interest, and then, you know, I'll be a little bit more motivated to do it. So that's that. Let me think. Oh yeah, so there is a coupon code going until the end of the year for my trading group. Go to bitcoinschmitcoin.com and use coupon code fall19 for, what is it, 50% off. Okay, let's get into it. First and foremost, I think I have a little bit of a cold, so sorry if I'm sniffling into the mic at a high quality audio. Yeah, so let's start off by talking about the total crypto market cap. We'll move down into the altcoin market cap and then go down to Bitcoin and some various altcoin selections. And I'll take a couple of requests for you guys and hopefully wrap it up by at least 7:30, hopefully earlier. Okay, so first and foremost, I talked about 2 weeks ago. I talked about this 50 EMA that was playing out right here. This blue curvy guy. This guy. Boom. I talked about how the 50 EMA on the weekly chart tends to be the market equilibrium point, and when the market overshoots it really high to the top, it overshoots to the bottom, and then we see this sort of like correction thing as the market kind of finds its equilibrium point. And last we talked, I was hopeful that the weekly candle closing above the 50 would mean we actually found our bottom, because the cloud structure was pointing toward a potential continuation of the uptrend, and that's just not what we see, right? The total crypto market cap is showing an exiting of capital from the market, and that's a bit concerning for us, especially when we look at things like just basic horizontal levels. We see here that the only real major level of support is here and here, and I think that's locked, yeah. and it broke through support. I mean, it's currently finding support right here, but if this sucker gives way, there's a whole lot of space below us, all the way down to here. I mean, you can argue that you know, that this level right here at the 148 mark, $148 billion mark, that's support, but you know, it wasn't resistance on the way up. I don't really expect it to be support on the way down. So this is a big maybe here. I would call this, you know, I'll label this what? We'll give you a dashed line, because this one's a little bit iffy, and you don't even get a thin dashed line. That's what you get right there. Below this level, it's a big drop. It is a, let's see, from our current price level, it is a 30% drawdown. And that's for crypto in general. That's not just for Bitcoin. That's for crypto in general. Considering most of the capital right now is in Bitcoin, I would expect to see some major shakeouts on some obscure alts. If we look at their market structure, as we will going forward, there's a lot of space below some of the major support levels currently. If you're a cloud trader, or you're just a casual cloud watcher, as I am, I use it to gauge my overall bullish or bearish market sentiment. You know, my bias. This isn't good. Next logical stop at this point is going to be a retest of the 200 EMA. And considering we've got this this bearish recross here, you see that the slow moving average crossed above the fast moving average. It's not, it's showing just overall just lagging, dragging of the feet across the market as a whole. Because remember, this is the total market cap, not just Bitcoin, not just altcoins. This is the entire crypto market as a whole. When we look at the altcoin market cap, it's a bit worse. Last we talked, just like with the total market cap, we were sitting right above a major level here, and I was hopeful that the 200 EMA, you know, I was saying that, you know, this isn't the best thing in the world, but I'm hopeful because we're finding support there. Well, support gave way on the 200 EMA, and it's now currently seeking lows. You know, it's testing this support level I have outlined here at the 59 billion mark, but it's kind of doing this like bearish retest on this level right here, and that's not something that I really want to see if I'm bullish on alts. Really what I would want to see is to see the weekly close above this level, and that's just not what we're seeing. Taking a step back, because the monthly candle did just close, let's look at our monthly levels to gain a little bit more perspective as to how fucking brutal this thing is. When we look at the you know, the monthly levels, there's nothing, right? Like I said, nothing until 150. You know, the 150s is really where things start to get interesting, and even below that, it's like, if that gives way, well, this is a long way down, all the way down to here. So things could get really brutal right now, and this is not a time where I personally want to be super exposed to crypto. You know, I'm looking to hedge what exposure I do have, and the way I see this altcoin market cap cloud structure, this looks like a textbook bearish continuation. We see the market coming into the cloud, getting spat out of the cloud, and we see it's just it got spat out on very high spread here, and that just shows to me like people are running from alts as fast as they can, and if this thing gives way, well, then it's a slow teetering drop, because if this level gives way, this level right here, you know, this zone of support down here, this is a slippery slope because it can get really brutal real fast. And considering these are weekly candles we're looking at, this is a signal that this is a continuation of our macro downtrend. The macro downtrend meaning this here. So we see a relief rally for a couple of months here, and now we see a continuation of our downtrend. We see all the signs on our cloud structure of what a bearish continuation would look like. We see a rejection of the cloud first and foremost. We see a red Kumo. We saw, a twist and then a retwist. We see that the slow moving average is trending back above the fast moving average. To put things into perspective, the last time that happened was right here, right? And yeah, it's just not looking too hot right now, guys. When we look at the Bitcoin market specifically, well, okay, before I move on to Bitcoin, you guys have any questions about the crypto market caps before I move on to Bitcoin? I'll answer some questions here because I know it doesn't seem that hot. And I know this sounds doom and gloom, but guys, this really looks like shit. All of our major levels have given way. We're seeing bearish retests on a macro scale. These are weekly levels. And yeah, the trend model that I like to follow, the cloud structure combined with the 50 and 200 EMA, it's just not looking too hot right now. If we reclaim the 50, I'll reassess, but right now this just looks like this is about to get spat out of here and at minimum retest the 200 EMA, which actually would line up with a support retest here. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Any questions though? Let's get some questions going, because if not, I'll just go straight on to Bitcoin. I know everyone's like just waiting for, like, no one, for whatever reason, no one gives a shit about the crypto market cap. They're always like, I just want to know about my obscure altcoin. I get it, but this is the shit that's going to drive your altcoin portfolio into the dirt. It should not be taken lightly. Can you chart Bitcoin alone? Yeah. I'm going to chart just Bitcoin in a second. So the format that I'm trying to stick to is I want to chart the total market cap, the altcoin market cap, get more specific down into Bitcoin, and then get even more specific down into some altcoins. Hi, thanks for the last stream. You're welcome. I remember Link was looking good, but now things look pretty bad. I agree. I'm going to spend some time talking about Link because I fully agree with you. Could you have a look at Link? Thanks in advance. Yeah, I will definitely be looking at Link. As well as a few, basically the altcoins that I spent the most time on last time, like Litecoin, Ether. I'm going to talk about those because the thing that's really concerning to me is when I see really bullish setups fail, that usually means that we're going to see a pretty brutal move to the downside. Whenever we see macro setups break out and fail, that's almost never a good sign. Someone on Twitch asks, didn't everything look like dog shit before we boomed in December 2017? No, it did not. So to put things into perspective, here's the market model that I like to use, the Ichimoku Cloud on standard settings. So here's December of 2017, and it did not look like shit. The market was trending and finding really nice, and this is the total market cap, keep in mind. The market was fine. First of all, the market was trending above the 50 EMA, check. The market was trending above the slow and fast moving average of the Ichimoku Cloud system, and it was continuously finding support on the Tenkan and the Kijun. We'd see these like temporary tests of the Kijun that would immediately get bought up, but otherwise it was a very strong macro picture until we saw it starting to fail to be support, and then basically just started drowning. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm going to say something that a lot of you guys probably don't want to hear, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is really concerning to me. I see something that when we look at the classic, this like meme bubble diagram sort of thing, this looks like the bull trap before the giant dive to the depths. This is what this looks like. Let me see if I can find. Let me pull up this bubble diagram. This is like, and of course, it's not tradable or anything, but it's just interesting to note. Market bubble diagram. Yeah, here we go. Oh, this is interesting. Get the fuck out of here. I have to agree to so many things now. Okay, so this thing. When we look at a parabolic market, we see this sort of thing where we see the bull trap, the quote unquote return to normal before the deep dive to the depths. And this is what this looks like to me. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but goddamn, is that a striking resemblance to that? I mean, the thing that really comes to mind to me is the continuous failure of altcoins to rally. I mean, yeah, you've seen a handful of altcoins rallying throughout the year, but man, they have not been rallying like they were before. And yeah, it just seems like people they don't have a giant risk appetite to get these alts. They wanted to buy Bitcoin, and now even that is starting to bleed. Again, I'm not trying to fear monger or anything here, but I'm just saying, goddamn, is that bear a striking resemblance to the classic bubble chart. Why are you always so bearish, bro? You're wrong this time. Did you even watch my last video, or are you just talking out of your ass? My last video was literally talking about how I thought that alts were potentially bottoming, and I was bullish. I think you're a bot, and I think you're an NPC. I don't think you're a real person. I don't think you have a soul. Someone on Twitch, I don't know. Every time people think that the market has been looking good, we go down, and doom and gloom charts, we go up. Okay, well, I mean, do what you want, man. I'm just giving you my take. I'm not trying to convince you either way. I don't care what you do with your investments or anything. I'm just giving my take on the market. I mean, to be honest with you, I want the market to go up. Bull markets are so much easier to trade than bear markets. They're easier. Like, all you gotta do is just buy shit and then sell it later. Like, bull markets are so easy to make money. I don't want a bear market. I don't want this to be a bull trap and an otherwise macro downtrend. Like, I don't want that to happen. It's just, it's just a case. It's just a case that it looks that way. That's all. All right. Any other questions? Because otherwise, I'm going to go to Bitcoin. Do you play short setups? Yeah. So I'll actually talk about the short that I took this morning. I haven't taken a trade in the last couple of weeks. I did jump long on Link at mid 220s, and I ate a loss on that this morning, but I closed it out. But yeah, I'll talk about the bearish setup I just played here in a second as we get into the Bitcoin chart. So with Bitcoin, let's look at the monthly chart, and we'll look down to the weekly and the daily. Okay, so monthly, this does not look good. The monthly chart, it has very well defined levels, and it looks, so where I'm looking to buy, and this is what I've been saying on Twitter, is I think we get one more move down and then I'll reassess, but I'm specifically focused on the 6350 level ish. That's the monthly swing low that we never tested. We saw that the wick kind of went down, but it didn't really test it. And now that the monthly candle is closed well below support, that's just a logical spot for me to place some bids. When we look at the weekly chart, we see much of the same, and we can see that there's like a nice little zone that I've had on my charts for a while that I'd never actually really thought that we would be visiting, because I was much more bullish earlier on in the year, but here we are. So we can see that there is a nice little zone outlined here by the swing low and these swing highs here. Made a nice little zone here. Bloop, 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 bloop. And the weekly level is finding support there. Like, that's really good. But I think that, you know, we see a nice deeper move. I'm honestly kind of looking at something like this maybe, where the market makes a move, it sees a decent bounce, and then it makes another like marginally lower low, and then it forms the floor of a new trading range. That's what I'm hopeful for. So let's take a look at that. So when we look at the volume, When we look at the volume, like, I don't see something that really strikes me as like climactic selling. I see relief bounce taking place from people either closing their shorts, or maybe taking speculative longs, but I don't see anything that says, bottom is in. Something like this, that is just an immediate outlier in the volume trend. And yeah, that's just not what we're seeing here. So I think we could take a lower low. And what I would like to see is a lower low on lower volume into this level, this 6350-ish. That's what I would like to see, is a move down here, and then we'll have to gauge the buying response. But yeah, that's where I have all my buys still. I was talking about this on Twitter, and yeah, I still stand by it. I'm still waiting to see if my buys get filled down there. When we look at the weekly immediate levels, the overhanging resistance right here, we see that there was a really nice swing low, a clean one, a couple of swing lows here. And last week, the candle came up, retested this level, and it got slapped back down. So this to me just looks like a bearish retest. This doesn't look like a market reversal. This looks like maybe a test pump or a bearish retest before we push to lower lows. Yeah, so there's still a whole lot of selling going on. And this is our first bearish retest. And this makes sense. Like, if you're following my trading range floor sort of idea, where the market will come down, form its floor, form a really clean resistance, stack up a lot of liquidity, and then boom. So that's kind of what I'm hoping is going to happen here, is that we form a new lower low, make a trading range here, and hopefully bust north. That's what I'm hoping for. But at this point, it's pure speculation. I'm talking out of my ass. That's just a potential scenario that I see, maybe playing out. I see a really good cause to be buying at this level and this band of prices down here, and I'll be scooping up as much spot as possible down there. Before I move forward and talk about my short setup and the daily / intraday stuff, do you guys have any questions about the stuff I said on the monthly and weekly chart? Is the fall 19 code still valid? Yeah, it's still valid. It'll be valid until the end of the year, I believe. It should be. If it says it's not valid, DM me and I'll get it set up. It should be valid. Yeah. When are you playing Escape from Tarkov? I'll get into the video games in a little bit. I haven't been playing Escape from Tarkov a whole lot, but it looks a lot of fun. I've been watching some videos and it seems pretty sick, so I'm not opposed to it. It seems pretty cool. I like your analysis. What do you think of the possibility of going sideways in the range of 5K? I'm assuming you mean something like this, where this becomes a range in here. Yeah, I mean, that is totally possible. Something that I've kind of noticed about Bitcoin is it likes to form ranges because Bitcoin doesn't have gaps. It has kind of the equivalent of gaps, where it has these large impulsive moves. It'll consolidate, make large impulsive moves, consolidate, stuff like that. I've noticed that it likes to fill in the gaps with trading ranges. So here's an example of one where we filled in the gap here, boom, with this trading range here. We filled in the gap above that with this trading range. We kind of had a little trading range there. So yeah, I could totally see the market going lower and making a trading range here. I just have my buys specifically set up here because it's a monthly level. It hasn't been tested the entire run up. And I think at minimum it sees a bounce. And it just seems like a logical place to set some buys. We broke through this very strongly on high spread and high volume. We sat here and hammered this. So I think if ever there was a level to see a support and resistance flip, it'd be this. This would be like our first bullish retest of this level. But yeah, if that fails, then this is the next logical stop for sure. Any other questions about this before I talk about my short setup? My short setup isn't anything exciting. I kind of already talked on it. Thanks. Okay, good question. What would you need to happen now to turn bullish? I would really want to see the weekly level close back above this monthly level here. I want to see it close back above the 77, let's say 77.50. I want to see this thing climb back up here and find support. That would be huge. That would be a really big deal to do that. And specifically, if we're talking like, it depends on what time frame you're talking about, but yeah, I want to see the monthly candle close above here too. So I would want to see December close green above here, above the 77.50 ish. I would definitely want to see December close there. Ideally, what we see is, you know, a wick down here and a move back up here, because we can just see that this whole move down, we've seen diminishing volume throughout, or at the very least not accelerating volume. Yeah, and when we look at the weekly time frame, it's kind of the same thing. We see just kind of dwindling volume on. We see dwindling volume on the way down. And you know, I'm not a huge fan of momentum oscillators, but one that I do use is the SMI, and I would like to see a divergent low popped here when it comes back down to retest this 63.50. If we can see that and see a divergent low on the SMI, meaning the SMI doesn't make a new low, that would be game on. It'd be very reminiscent of this bottom here, where we see a weaker marginal low take out the range low, and it kind of forms the bottom. And we also see it coupled with a divergent daily SMI. That's what I would like to see. That'd be cool beans. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, I talked about this this supply and demand channel that we've been oscillating within. And I really want to see a deeper, more gut-wrenching knifing move through the bottom of this to see it get rejected. That'd be very reminiscent of the S&P 500. I'll show you that real quick. Where this was, I mean, this is obviously a lower time frame, but it plays all the same, where we see it kind of oscillating in this supply and demand channel. Then we see a knifing move through on very high volume. It gets bought up and immediately rallies back up through the top of the channel. That's what I would like to see for Bitcoin, but you know, I think that might be asking a bit much in the moment. Doesn't Bitcoin traditionally go up for Christmas? What is your take? So to be honest with you, I don't like to play that sort of thing that traditionally Bitcoin does this, because the data set is so small. I mean, like, how many Decembers have there been since Bitcoin was even created? You know, it's like not that many, less than 10. Yeah, like I don't think we have a deep body of evidence that suggests a strong correlation either way. Why wouldn't you characterize the formation from July to today to be a bull flag? So, the reason why personally is because it bull flags really shouldn't consolidate, and this is just going based off of my personal reference that I use for chart patterns, and that's Bulkowski. Bulkowski recommends that bull flags and just bullish continuation patterns in general don't last several months like what we're seeing, because that doesn't show real bullish consolidation. It shows kind of trend changing behavior. Yeah, it totally could be a bull flag for sure, especially if we do what I was talking about, where we see a knifing move to the bottom and then a rally to the top where it busts. Dude, look how good that diagonal was. That was such a good diagonal. Where it busts this and it rallies to the top. Yeah, that'd be totally plausible. Correlation between Bitcoin and traditional markets. Per se, if China deal gets done and traditional stocks stay bullish, does Bitcoin follow? So this is something that I've been playing around with, and this is actually something that has me leaning slightly bearish, because if I think about it logically, I would think that an aggressive bull market, like what we're seeing on stocks, where it's now pushing, after 2 years of consolidation, it's just pushing all-time high after all-time high after all-time high, and is likely going to continue rallying throughout to the end of the year. I would think logically that Bitcoin would at least see a bump, because that means that risk appetite will be widened, and people, because their portfolios are going up, will be more likely to take on risk with something like Bitcoin, because it's more volatile. And logically, it seems like it would follow that. And because we haven't seen that just yet, that has me a little sketched out. Logically, I was thinking that because stocks were rallying and they're looking strong, that more volatile assets like Bitcoin at minimum, altcoins, of course, soon after, would be showing some strength. And that's just not what we're seeing. We're seeing stuff like this, where we're seeing these impulsive moves, trapping bulls, and then they bleed out. Impulsive moves, and then they bleed out. Like, that's what we've seen over and over and over again. And that's just not something that's not something that really has me terribly excited. Okay, let me check Twitch. No questions on Twitch. Okay, so you guys want me to talk about my short setup real quick? It's nothing terribly exciting, and it's a pretty obvious play. Once I tell you, it'll be obvious. All right, go ahead and talk about the short setup. So the short setup is really simple. We see a daily rejection off of this level here. I should really extend this green over here. And we see a breach above the green band, and then a close back below. And this is not something that I would want to see a move above and then a reclose above. That would be awesome. But that's not what we see. We see what looks to be a bearish retest of this level. And although me shorting right now kind of seems like I'm shorting the bottom, there's still a lot of meat left on this bone if this pushes a new low, like I'm kind of hoping it does. I shorted it at let me see. I shorted it at 74.40. And so 74.40, just say right there. If this makes a new low, I mean, it's a 14% drop. So, it's not an aggressive short. It's just one that covers my exposure to Bitcoin. And this was to cover my exposure on Link before I fully close the position. So yeah, I'm net short right now on Bitcoin and Litecoin, and I'll show you that setup as well. But yeah, so it's just simple. Shorted right here. Yeah, and because it's on such low leverage, I don't have a stop in place. My stop is basically I just don't want to see it close back above. I know there's like all these volatile little wicks that like to reach up and grab you, like the Balrog in Lord of the Rings, or what is it, The Hobbit, whatever it is, reaches up and grabs you from the depth as it falls down into this giant pit. I don't like those little wicks, so I tend to use lower leverage when I'm shorting to avoid that, and I just play the daily chart. But yeah, I'm targeting this lower low here, and it's quite simple. The monthly close is what originally piqued my interest, because we see a monthly close below this support level. I kind of front ran the weekly close because it wasn't looking like it was going to bounce anytime soon, and the daily setup confirms it. And then I used the 4 hour to really time my entry. So I used the 4 hour setup to short right on the retest of this level right here, and I got in at 74.30, which is this guy right here. So there you go. Thank you for all your insight into the crypto markets. Been following you since 2017. Oh, nice. Yeah, there's still a few of you OGs out there. I remember the good old days. Yeah, thanks for following me so long. It's pretty crazy. It's been 2 years now, 2.5 years of streaming, which is wild. How come you don't think it hasn't bottomed already at 6.5K? Well, so what I said already. So I don't think it's bottomed because the monthly candle suggests that it has, it hasn't retested its support level, and the close below this support level has me thinking it's going to go lower. That in conjunction with the weekly level that I've been talking about, how it's showing the bearish retest, and the daily level as well. It looks like a bearish retest on this range low here. All this stuff here looks like it got a bearish retest, and now it's being deflected off of it. Yeah, and additionally, I just don't like this buying response. Just doesn't look. Yeah, I mean, we got an oversold signal on the supply and demand channel. We got an oversold condition where, basically an oversold condition, it's just that you see the market below the supply and demand channel, and that would be an oversold condition. And conversely, on top, it would be an overbought condition. Yeah, this just doesn't look like a strongly trending bounce off of here. This just looks like a relief bounce. We see diminishing volume, we see contracting spread, and it's slamming right into resistance. So I'd rather not be longing here. And if I get stopped out, then that's cool. I'll just relong this guy right here. No biggie. But the trend is down. This doesn't look like it's showing any immediate signs of bottoming, and I'd rather stick to my game plan, which was to originally buy the 63.50. So I hope that answered your question. Okay. Any other questions about Bitcoin? Got a lot of good questions today. Extend this actually. What worries me most is the lack of retail attention this year. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, what is the most concerning additionally is just the failure of alts to rally. And when I look at the trends from the total market cap to the altcoin market cap, it just shows capital just continuously leaving the market. And when we look at the weekly and monthly time frame, this just looks like, this unfortunately looks like a bearish continuation is in store. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but it is what it is. Okay, so you guys ready to talk about some alts, or do you have any more questions about Bitcoin? So I want to talk about Link. I want to talk about Litecoin, and I'll take a couple others. But specifically, I want to talk about Link and Litecoin because I am currently short on Litecoin, and I'll explain that trade after I talk about Link. But Link is by far the most disappointing, man. I was really, really hopeful on Link. I was very bullish on Link, and it's just a dud right now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Link. Similar to, so this is the daily chart, but similar to what I was talking about with the total market cap, we see here that we're trending back below the 50 EMA. Additionally, we see a bearish cross. I guess it would be a recross. We see a bearish cross, and on our cloud structure, we see the market moving down, breaking below, seeing a bearish retest and a rejection, and yeah, it deflected right off of the daily Tenkan very aggressively. And so this rejection right here caused me to completely exit my Link position, took a little bit of a loss on it, but I'd rather buy back in when I have a stronger confidence than sit here and just hold this thing, because the way the altcoin market cap is just looking, it just does not look good. And when we look at our support and resistance levels for Link on the USD pair, there's not a whole lot left to hold us up before we revisit 1.88, you know, this zone right here. And specifically what has me worried is the Bitcoin, the Link Bitcoin chart. So here's the daily chart. And what's really disappointing about this is we saw a bearish cross, a bullish recross, which is in the cloud system is the most bullish cloud signal you can get, that a continuation is in store, and then it recrossed again and it just bled right out. And like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, whenever we see bullish signals fail to rally, that is just not good. We see now a very bearish cloud where it's starting an edge-to-edge play, and it's most likely going to continue down to the bottom of the cloud. Additionally, we see now a bearish cloud, a bearish Kumo. We see a bearish twist where the slow-moving average is moving above the fast-moving average, and we see the market is finding resistance on the 50 EMA. So it's just like, you know, fact after fact after fact that Link is just not looking the strongest right now. And yeah, it's looking like it is most likely going to continue down to the 200 EMA. And that's just a long way down that I do not feel comfortable holding. So I'd rather just eat my loss on it, take my capital, and look to rebuy lower. And hopefully rebuy this sucker right here. But or, you know, this green band of prices where this thing kind of ends up going up here and this, you know, hits right in here. Something like that. That's what I'm looking for. But all things considered, Link kind of looks like shit right now. It was looking really good. And as you know, that I had my bot, I was talking about this like in real time. The move was happening so fast. I was like, cloud closed inside, or price closed inside cloud, looking to buy. And then like an hour later, it was like buy filled. And I was like, okay, that was fast. And it bounced and it immediately got sold into. And it's just kind of doing these bearish retests. And we can see here, even from just a basic support and resistance level kind of thing, like this looks like shit. It broke through support, it came up, retested it, and got rejected, and now it's pushing back down, and the next logical level is going to be $2, and then below that is 188. I really don't think this is going to do anything terribly saucy. I think it's most likely going to come down here and probably tag this thing right here, but yeah, I'm out of Link. I'm especially considering I think that we might see there's just a huge confluence of things that I'm following. You know, The total market cap looks like shit, as I talked about. The crypto market cap, the altcoin market cap looks especially bad. Bitcoin looks like it could pop a new low. And now Link is finding a bearish retest here. And honestly, if I had an instrument to short Link, I would be shorting here. Like, this just looks like it's most likely going to continue down for a good leg. And although this doesn't look like it's very far, these moves on Link have been very big, and even a move back down to the $2 range or $1.88 range, that's a 13% drop. So yeah, not looking the hottest. So I'm completely out, looking to buy lower. And let's look at the weekly cloud. I haven't looked at that in a minute. Yeah, so weekly cloud doesn't actually look that bad on the BTC pair. But keep in mind, this is the weekly cloud. You know, like, this doesn't mean that it's immune to high percentage moves. You know, next level of support, you know, it's going to be here for the weekly cloud, or for the weekly support and resistance structure. And if that fails, then Kijun and support on this swing high. So I see no reason for this just to keep chilling here. It's already trending back below the Tenkin. So okay, so that was my rant on Link. The biggest disappointment of the year. Really had high hopes for that. You know, made a good bit of profit on it. But yeah, I was really hopeful that Link was going to revisit this $4 range, and it just fell flat. So can't trade hopes and dreams. You gotta trade the charts, you know. And I also want to talk about Litecoin, because Litecoin's a really important coin for the ecosystem, because it has really repeatable cycles where it finds its low, marks the high, finds its low. Sometimes it goes below, but you know, in general, it has like this range that's been bound within for the last 5 years, and it's very cyclical. And right now we're at the range low for Litecoin. Keep in mind, this is the Bitcoin chart, so this thing could go even lower, could even pop a new low. But you know, I don't expect Litecoin, Bitcoin to do anything terribly aggressive to the downside, but I do think that the Litecoin USD chart has a really nice bearish, or a really nice short setup that I'm currently playing, and I'll show you that right now. So I was previously really bullish on Litecoin because in combination with the BTC pair bottoming at the range low, we saw it was breaking out of this supply and demand channel. It was looking very strong. It was breaking out in high volume, and then it just fell flat. It just bled and bled and bled. And yeah, now it's currently seeing this bearish retest on what was previously the bottom. And yeah, it fell right through support. It was retesting it here, and it looks like it is destined for lower lows. And I'm targeting about $39 for this thing. $39 to you know, whatever this is, 41, something in here seems logical. It would also line up with a divergent low on Bitcoin. It would push a new low and maybe rally from here, but you know, this is speculation. But either way, no matter how you cut it, this thing looks like a big ass bear flag, and I do not want to be long on this thing. This looks like a giant bear flag right here. Pole flag, and the pull on this thing, if we're being conservative, is a $21 pull. We can call this the breakout level, you know. So a $21 $20 pull, it would be a retest of $25 basically. We'll see if it gets that low, but 25 bucks is down here, somewhere down here. Either way, not good. Doesn't look good. And I'm currently short on Litecoin at the moment. Moving right along. Someone wants to see EOS. EOS was looking good, and it is no longer looking good. It was finding support on the 50 EMA. It was back above the cloud. We saw all the rumblings of what we would hope to be a bullish continuation, and now we see the opposite. So you're seeing a similar theme here where you see a bearish retest that breaks through the low, sees a bearish retest, and is most likely going to continue downward because this looks like a gigantic fucking bear flag, just like everything else. Yeah, looks like a giant bear flag. Support for this thing. I would probably want to look at the weekly level for this. Support is here. So I could totally see this thing. Yeah, and we even see a weekly close with a bearish retest. So I could see this thing coming back down to 228. That would not seem crazy to me. In fact, that makes a lot of sense. We are seeing it is very divergent on the move down. We see decreasing volume. And I bet if we look at the SMI on the daily chart, it is diverging as well. Yeah. So we see divergence across the board. And one more divergent low wouldn't be terribly surprising, but yeah. I see a lot of people talking about XTZ, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll head out of here because I got to do something in a little bit. Yeah, I know this has been the new hotness. Everyone's all over this thing's nuts. So let's take a look at it. This is the first time I've looked at this chart. So first thing, yeah, this is what I thought. So first thing that that is immediately alarming is this formation here. If you've been trading Link, this should look familiar. This looks like this, where we see a 3 pushes to a high. And the third push is diverging. You can see here it diverges. And this thing is sure as fuck diverging. Yeah, I could. Well, let me look at the cloud. Yeah, I could see this thing pulling back to the 50 EMA or even the 200 EMA. It had a really strong break through the middle of it. But this thing's kind of just like in this range-bound market, so let me look at this further. So that's a kind of a nice trading range to it. Yeah, this kind of looks like an accumulation trading range where we see a spring, a jump across the creek, and this would be the backing up action, and this would be the creek here. And we see it on high spread, high volume. But what is concerning here is this. I don't like this and this, where we see high volume and not a lot of progress, because this, as soon as it breached this high, we saw a fuck ton of sellers step in. What that ends up turning into remains to be seen, but that is something that gives me pause and would make me think we're most likely at least going to see a retest of this 1 point, basically a dollar range, $1 range. And yeah, so this is the USD pair. Let me look at the BTC pair. BTC pair actually looks really strong. In terms of a cloud structure, this is everything we want to see. We see the market trending upward. We see a nice golden cross with the 50 and 200 EMA. We even see a really nice trading range here. Super clean. Boom. Something like that. And yeah, very clean breakout. Currently running into resistance right here. So I could easily see this thing pulling back to the Kijun here, which could give a pretty harsh pullback. What is that? That's 12%. Yeah. Maybe even to the 50 EMA. That wouldn't surprise me either. This isn't something that I personally would want to FOMO right now, especially given what I just saw on the USD pair. The USD pair is definitely in a position to see some pullback, and I don't like this high effort, low result sort of situation here. This little memer right here, because it's quite clearly diverging, and I think that this thing is prone to get a little shaky poo and shake some bros out. Might even take out this low here, something like that. Boom. But yeah, I'm not a buyer right now. I don't see anything about this chart that says buy right now. This looks like this is immediately bearish, personally. And when we look at the weekly chart, what do we see? This is kind of all over the place, honestly. So we kind of, let me see what these look like. Fairly clean level. Yeah. This looks like, open up, motherfucker. What are you doing? Open. Can I not edit you anymore? What is going on? I just want to make you red. That's all I want to do. Just be red. There we go. Okay, so yeah. Man, this is all over the place. This is okay, so this lines up. So this is the weekly level I'm most interested in. Definitely want to see this guy hold. And when we look at the daily chart, we get a nice confluence there. I could see a little mosquito proboscis come down here, suck up some sweet, sweet liquidity. But just be aware of this divergent push, this third push, this 1, 2, 3 push, because when we look at Link, it just bled out. It just bled. And now we're seeing a retest of the prior range right here. And it looks strikingly familiar. So all right, so we're at the 7:30 mark. I'll talk about Ether for the memes, and then we'll scoot on out of here. Before I go, make sure, if you're interested in joining my trading group, go to bitcoinschmitcoin.com and use coupon code, what is it, fall19 for 50% off. Also, if you like my analysis and you want to get a more in-depth hard copy with rationale and price targets and price exits and stuff like that, go to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. And yeah, sign up there. All right, so let's talk about Ether, because Ether looks like shit, just like everything else. We see a bearish retest. So we held support 1, 2, 3 times. busted that ass and then retested it, and it's looking bearish right now. Just like Bitcoin, I think this is making a divergent low. I forget. Maybe on the weekly, this thing's just been kind of cruising downward. You can see kind of my old notation here. Yeah, it's making a divergent low, but this isn't something I'm like terribly excited about. Yeah, I don't see anything that's screaming buy me on Bitcoin on Ether. We look at this sort of shit here where it's kind of just like moseying around the cloud. I see no clear signal one way or the other. And if we're looking at the weekly, it just looks like a bearish continuation. Like it never even got a chance to retest the weekly Kijun, and it is back below the Tenkan. So this is just textbook continuation that is very reminiscent of of Zcash. So yeah, I don't see anything that is sparking any immediate buy signals for Ether. Maybe that changes, but close but no cigar Ether. And this bearish retest just kind of seals the deal for me on that. Doesn't look too hot. Not interested. No, thank you. Okay. I think. Yeah, go to bitcoin.com. Use coupon code fall19 so you can join the trading group. You can get my take on all the coins in between the weekly streams and the market reports. My opinion, and as well as several others that have been in the trading group for the last 2.5 years. It's been around, I think. I forget when it's actually been established. It's been a while, but yeah, it's been around for a while. And if you've ever been interested, now's the time to do it. Get 50% off with coupon code fall19. Also, again, if you want to get my weekly market reports, which I will start doing if I get enough interest, and if I don't get enough interest, then I won't start doing it. Simple as that. Go to my Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, that's all I have to say. Really can't emphasize this enough. This is giving me some serious pause here, guys. This altcoin market cap chart. It just looks like a slow exiting of altcoins. And yeah, still expecting a low on Bitcoin of 63.50. And when it gets there, if it gets there, then we'll reassess. But that's all I got for you guys. You guys have a great rest of your night. And don't stare at the charts too long.